Hello and welcome back to Daddy Dimes Radio, episode 7. Let's dive right into it. Right into NBA. What are your thoughts on Kyrie Irving part-timing as an away-only player?
I think it's smart for him to finally get out on the court after missing so much so far because of the vaccination rules. And it will be a tough adjustment for Kyrie and for the team, most importantly, the Brooklyn Nets themselves, to adjust to having Kyrie back after already having a very successful season so far. But this is the type of thing, like getting their third superstar back. This is the type of thing that they need to push them to a title. As last year, they very rarely had all three of their superstars, Harden, KD, and Kyrie, on the court. But when they did, it was pretty insane, and you can look at the stats to see that.
Yeah, it's very smart decision there. He's missed so many games because of vaccination rules in New York. And I think, he'll definitely have an impact on the Nets, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just go right into the locker code of the week.
All right, and so for the third week of doing the NBA 2K22 locker code of the week, this week we have one that you have a chance at getting a signature series 3-pack, clutch shooter badge pack, or 2 tokens. Expires in 5 days, so you've got plenty of time to put it in as of December 19th. And the code is going to be my team PD Kobe and Magic. My team PD Kobe and Magic. And of course, you guys can always see these locker codes if you head to lockercodes.io or down the. Yeah, no, never mind. All right, that's the locker code of the week.
Next one we have a city jersey tier list for this year.
Yep, so give me just a second to get the screen share. All right. And here we go. We've got S, A, B, C, and D, and all the city jerseys here. Me and Levi really like these city jerseys, and really just looking through all the NBA jerseys when we're playing 2K and watching games on TV. So we'll get started with the Philadelphia 76ers. What do you think of this one, Levi?
A.
I agree. I think it's a solid A. Moving right along to the San Antonio Spurs, which I think is a B.
Yeah.
Then the Atlanta Hawks city jerseys.
C.
I think D. Like, honestly, all the jerseys are so good that we're gonna have to put some into D, and I think this is like maybe the worst city jersey in my opinion. I just hate the yellow. It's not that creative, I feel like, compared to some of the other ones.
Yeah.
Then we have the Trailblazers with their classic Rip City, of course, which, it's clean looking. Normally it's not the most creative, C or B, but it is the classic Rip City. What are you thinking?
I say B.
Yeah, I agree. I think, yeah.
It's very clean, but we're like looking for like the outgoing city jerseys, like the brand new.
Yeah, they could make this more of like a alternate jersey,
Yeah.
And then the Milwaukee Bucks.
C or B?
I think it could get a B, but you're a Bucks fan, and if you think C, then I'll agree with you. Then the Chicago Bulls, another just clean-looking jersey, but there's not too much on it. C.
C.
Yeah.
Probably.
And then is this the Cavs? And
I think so.
Yeah, this is the Cavs. B or C?
I'd say C. We gotta put
Yeah,
some.
yeah. Now that I'm looking at it more, I definitely agree with C. Then the Celtics. Honestly, I think this is a D. Like, I just don't think there's anything creative about it compared to their other jerseys, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, because they have like the black ones that are like that, white ones and then now green ones. It's just like black, white, and green of the same
Yeah.
jersey.
And then the Clippers, B or A?
Yeah, I'd say we'll put them at B.
Yeah, I agree. And then the Charlotte Hornets.
A.
Yeah, I agree. It's not like
It's
me.
a good jersey.
Yeah. And you might not be able to see it right now, but we've seen it in 2K, and you can really see more of the details. Then the Dallas Mavs.
D.
Yeah, it's like a high D because remember, guys, we don't put these in order when we do our tier list. But yeah, again, they're kind of going for that classic look from some of their classic jerseys with kind of a modern twist. But I just don't think that's it.
Yeah.
The Miami Heat, last year they had like the best jerseys in the NBA with their city jerseys. So these are a bit of a drop off, but I still think they're really cool.
Yeah, A.
Yeah, we'll go A, high A. Then the Houston. What were you gonna say?
Miami's last year's city jerseys easily S, like the best jerseys in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
It was so fire.
Then the Houston Rockets. I honestly really love these jerseys, and I think they're. What do you think?
Yeah, probably S. Not like the highest S, but like S.
Yeah. Then the Indiana Pacers.
These are really cool.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, for me, it's either a low A or high B. But I think I'm not sure about the Pacers classic jerseys, but to me, it gives me a little bit of a classic feel with a modern vibe that just does it better than some of the other classic jerseys like the Hawks and the Mavs.
Yeah.
And then we have the Kings with Sacktown. C or, well, again, it's not very creative, but I do really like the look of it.
I will put it in C.
Yeah, because guys, we're also, that's a really good looking jersey. Same with the Bulls here, but we put them in C because we're looking a lot for creativity in these city jerseys. We want their regular statement, alternate, just home and away jerseys to be clean and sharp looking, and then the cities to be really creative. But then the Lakers, which I really like, and I think they're S tier. But what about you?
Yeah, I agree with S tier because I like it better than the Rockets.
You know what? I think we put Heat up in S tier. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Because, guys, I don't know if you know, but on the front and the back of the jerseys, the players can choose like 2 colors that their numbers are. So as you can see there on the front, we have like a white and a yellow 13. Then the Orlando Magic, which I also think is S.
Yeah.
Because they take kind of their classic look, but then they change the colors to more Orlando, warm Florida colors,
Yeah.
And then the Denver Nuggets. What do you think about this one?
A, high A.
Okay, A for the Nuggets. Hang on. There we go. It's really painful to drag when there's bad internet. Then the Grizzlies, which I think we put in D because they're not creative, Like we have this little like tan gold strip that's a little bit different, but otherwise. And of course, we can't see the back. Some teams like to get creative with the back, but I think it's D.
Yeah.
And then the Brooklyn Nets, kind of another classic but modernized look, but I really like this one. I think for me it's either A or S.
I say we put in A for
Okay.
now.
Then the Pelicans,
B.
I think this one's more of a C, maybe even a D for me, honestly. So we'll put it in a C to kind of average out the two. But it's another one that's just not very creative, and it looks nice. But then the New York Knicks, who had really sick city jerseys last year, but these ones, again, D or C. I'm in my opinion.
I say D.
Then the OKC Thunder, my favorite team, and they've got yet again some really cool city jerseys. They always have really good jerseys. And I think this is either A or S.
I say S. It's like super clean looking, and
Yeah,
it doesn't look like their other jerseys.
and this isn't a super classic because they could have done something with their Seattle Supersonics. They're probably trying to forget about this. And I don't know if you guys know, but back in like 2014, 2015, what kind of was classic for the Thunder, they had jerseys like this, but they were blue. And now they're white, and you can't really see it. But on the left side, besides the letters, there's some cool design. So yeah, really cool jerseys that actually are classic, even though it was just like 6 years ago they had similar jerseys. And then the Detroit Pistons.
B.
Yeah, I mean, again, they're not that creative, but I do really like how they look. And honestly, I don't know how it compares to regular Pistons jerseys. Then the Phoenix Suns, who actually kept their city jerseys from last year. What do you think of these?
S.
Yeah, I have to agree because the valley really changes it up, and then the colors, they're just so much different. Then the Toronto Raptors, I think, also goes straight into S.
Yeah.
Their classic jersey that really they made modern with the gold, and it looks amazing. And then another team that kept their same city jerseys from last year, the Utah Jazz. I
A.
think, yeah. Right into the Golden State Warriors to what appears to be kind of just a regular jersey, just with a little bit different with the numbers and the bridge, but there's lightning bolts on the side, which I think pushes it to B.
Yeah. The Oakland City jerseys were way better last year,
Yes,
but the lightning bolt on the side's really cool.
and they kind of changed the number, which I like. Just change. And then the Wizards. I think this is an A or a B, honestly. Maybe a B.
Yeah. High B.
Yeah, high B. And then finally, the Wolves going for another more classic but modern look. I think this one's like a C. They do look really sick in real life, but just right now looking at it, I don't know. Actually,
Yeah.
there is some cool design on the sides that I remember now. Well, we do have
D.
the Bucks there. We'll keep it in
Yeah.
C.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be our final tier list, guys. And let's move on to the next part of our episode.
Still in NBA, we're doing weekly recap now. The Pelicans beat the Bucks in overtime. Even though Drew Holiday dropped 40 on his former team, that was a good game.
Yeah, and then the San Antonio Spurs beat the Jazz by 2 in a wild ending. Lonnie Walker had a beautiful go-ahead layup, and then Donovan Mitchell's shot was blocked at the buzzer.
The Timberwolves dominate the Lakers, led by Karl Anthony Towns. What do you think about the Lakers this season?
Yeah, and we've talked about this a lot on our podcast, and I think I'm real worried. The Timberwolves, I've also been talking about them as a team I really like the shape of. so it's not a horrible loss, but the Lakers are supposed to beat these teams. But they did get a big win over the Mavs in overtime as Austin Reeves knocked down a three with just a few seconds left to beat the Mavericks by 3 points.
Kevin Durant's triple-double carries Nets to a 2-point victory over the Raptors in another overtime game. That's 3 of them so far this week.
And then, of course, Levi is rocking on his logo, a T-shirt with it. Steph Curry broke the all-time three-point record in the Warriors' win over the Knicks, breaking Ray Allen's record in much less time than it took Ray Allen.
Yeah, and then Curry leads the Warriors in a 2-point victory over the Pacers later that week in a matchup that could possibly be a trade acquisition involving Sabonis. If the Warriors get Sabonis, how good do you think they'll be?
I mean, they'll definitely be really good this season, and Sabonis isn't his prime, so giving up some of their young pieces like James Wiseman and Jonathan Kuminga could still be worth it because Sabonis is in his prime. Plus, Steph continues to get older, and they're not. Plus, Clay's injury, they're not going to have those two forever, so they need to go fully into win now, even though they just won a bunch of titles just a few years ago. And then KD dropped the NBA season high 51 points in the Nets' dominant win over the Pistons.
Moving on to the MLB, this is a way too late free agency overview. And starting it off, Rich Hill goes to the Red Sox on a 1-year deal.
Yeah, the Red Sox, you'll see in a minute. We'll just skip ahead. The Red Sox, they also picked up James Paxton to add another arm. 2 pitchers that I think they're not going to be aces, but they'll really secure that Red Sox rotation, especially if Chris Sale can come back and perform. And then Javi Baez going to Detroit. You know, Detroit was a real exciting team for me this past season as they shot a bad record, but they caught fire at some points and played real well with some solid players, and now they add another exciting player in Baez.
Yeah, Corey Seager going to the Rangers on a 10-year, $325 million contract with, I believe, a opt-out clause.
Yeah, they also signed Marcus Semien. The Rangers are going to have Corey Seager and Marcus Semien at their infield, not the corners, but the middle, whatever you call that, shortstop and second base, and that's going to be deadly. Watch out for the Rangers to continually improve. Max Scherzer, another big signing, went to the Mets. The Mets splashed this free agency, as we'll talk about more in a minute. Probably the best team, either the Mets or the Rangers. But Max Scherzer, one of the best pitchers in the MLB, maybe the best, going to the New York Mets.
Yeah, Kirby Yates going to the Braves on a 2-year, $8.25 million deal.
The Braves, coming off their World Series win, they get another arm, and they're very unlikely to repeat this year based on all the talent in the MLB. But they'll have Ronald Acuna. Remember, they didn't have Ronald Acuna for the playoffs in much of the second half.
Yeah. Next up, Marcus Semien to the Rangers on a 7-year deal worth $175 million.
Yep, just like we were talking about, it's going to be very dangerous for the Rangers. And then Corey Kluber, the Rays taking a chance on him, but the Rays can transform arms. We'll see if they can do that to the former All-Star and veteran Corey Kluber.
Yeah, Starling Marte and Eduardo Escobar, I don't know if I pronounced his first name right, but they both go to the Mets. The Mets getting 2 free agents there.
Yeah, Marte going to be very key in that Mets outfield, and Escobar filling that hole at third base most likely. They could put him at first, but they have Pete Alonso, even though he struggled this past year, kind of knowing that maybe his rookie year was kind of a fluke. But then Steven Matz going to the Cardinals. I thought the Cardinals needed to do more in this free agency, but a very good pickup in Steven Matz from the Mets.
Yeah, moving on to something new that we just added, boxing. Jake Paul knocks out Woodley in a rematch. Paul has 4 knockouts in all 4 of his fights in the last 13 months. I believe it was a right hook to the side of the head that knocked Woodley flat. And Frank Gore was inspired to fight by Jake Paul, but Gore lost to Deron Williams in a split decision.
Yeah, Gore, according to our sources over at ESPN, back when Jake Paul first started fighting and he knocked out guys like Nate Robinson in his first couple fights, Frank Gore was kind of inspired. And then after being in the NFL for so long and being known as he was never going to retire, he finally did retire to start fighting. But in his first fight, the NFL All-Star lost to the former NBA All-Star in a split decision.
Yeah, also new NHL or top 10 power rankings. For me, number 1 is the Florida Panthers, then the Capitals, then the Hurricanes, then the Toronto Maple Leafs, then the Avalanche, then the Wild, then the Lightning, then the Ducks, then the Rangers, and finally at 10, the Flames.
Yeah, at number 1, I also have the Panthers and the Capitals at 2. Then I have the Maple Leafs at 3 because of how well built their roster is. Number 4, then I have the Hurricanes, the Wild at the 5, Lightning at number 6, Avalanche at 7, the Rangers at 8, and the Ducks at 9. And then I also have the Flames at 10, but they were one of the best teams in the NHL till they got hit very hard by COVID. So watch them to try and make their way back up to the top 5.
Yeah, moving on to the NFL or weekly predictions. Who do you have winning the Titans versus the Steelers?
I've got the Steelers. The Titans with so many injury problems. They started off hot, but they're cooling down a lot. And the Colts are trying to catch them with their win over the Patriots last night. And the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger, starting to kind of have a revival. So I think Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I agree with you there with the Steelers. The Titans and the Steelers were kind of neck and neck. They did get hot, but then the Titans' injuries with Derrick Henry out, and I have the Steelers in that one.
Yep. And then I have the Packers beating the Ravens with Lamar still iffy. How about you?
Yeah, I have the Packers winning. Lamar, yeah, if he's still, I know, is he scheduled to play?
I honestly don't know. He's been listed questionable all week and he hasn't practiced. And they do have a solid backup in Tyler Huntley, who has impressed when Lamar's had to miss some time this year. But I'm not exactly sure. I think even with Lamar playing, I don't think it matters. I think Packers still win if Lamar's not at his full ability because he carries that Baltimore offense.
Yeah, moving on. The Washington football team versus the Eagles. Do you have one?
I've got the Eagles. I really like their team. And, Jalen Hurts has been facing similar problems to Lamar. But he should be closer to his full self this week. And the Eagles, when he's healthy, they have a high-powered offense, really underrated, I think. And then the football team has not been as good as we thought this year.
Yeah, I also have the Eagles winning this one. Yeah, the Washington football team disappointed us a little. Thought they would be better, so I have the Eagles winning this one.
And then who do you have for the Browns versus the Raiders?
I have the Browns winning this one. The Raiders, on a little losing streak right now. and I think the Browns will be able to win this one.
I have the Raiders winning, actually, because the Browns have been facing so many problems as an organization. So have the Raiders, but I think the Raiders have a better record. I'm not sure. But I also think they have a better chance of winning this game.
Yeah, next, the Colts versus the Patriots. This game already happened. The Patriots lost to the Colts, and I had the Patriots winning this one.
So did I. I've really liked the Colts since they've really started winning some games, but so had the Patriots, and I'd really liked the look of their team, but the Patriots got blown out.
Yeah. Moving on to our NFL award predictions, and starting it off at MVP, I have Tom Brady.
Yeah, so do I. I think he's the clear favorite. I also have him slotted in as Offensive Player of the Year, as almost always it goes.
Yeah, I have those two the same. The Defensive Player of the Year, I have Myles Garrett.
Yes, this one, it's a tight race right now between Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett, but I have Micah Parsons, especially with what he did last week in the win against Washington. And both these guys are big threats, but Micah, in just his first year, he's going to be a menace to the NFL in the future.
Yeah,
So I also have Parsons, of course, as the Defensive Rookie of the Year.
yeah, I have Micah Parsons too. And for the Offensive Rookie of the Year, who do you have there?
In a race between right now pretty much just Mac Jones and Jamar Chase. I have Mac Jones, even though I'm a big fan of Chase. Jones has really helped carry the Patriots offense, even though he hasn't put up the craziest stats compared to Chase. He's been a win, something that Bill Belichick has definitely taught him.
Yeah, I have Jamar Chase down here. It's a really close race between Mac and Jamar Chase.
Yep.
Then moving on to the Comeback Player of the Year.
Who do you have for Comeback Player of the Year?
I have Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the clear choice right now. You know, the Cowboys were terrible last year once Dak got hurt. And now Dak's back. Cowboys starting to have some success. And Dak has been probably a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. So,
Yeah, moving on to Coach of the Year. Who do you have there?
I have Cliff Kingsbury. Even though I think Bill Belichick is a common choice, I think Cliff has really turned around the Cardinals. And even though he probably has a more talented offense than the Patriots, well, not most likely, but he definitely does. But the Cardinals are, I think, still number 1 seed in the NFC. And I think Cliff Kingsbury has been a big part of that ever since he came over from Texas Tech.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah, he's a big part of that team. And then moving on to we're reviewing our dad's GOAT squad again, but this time for the NFL. And starting off for QB, he has Aaron Rodgers.
Man, that's very interesting. I did not expect that from our dad. I think it's definitely Tom Brady, but
Yeah, and then at running back, he has Jay Taylor.
wait,
Wait, he might have just done this year's.
oh yes, that makes sense. And I still think Brady ahead of Rodgers, but then I definitely think it is Jonathan Taylor, at running back. So,
Yeah, at wide receiver, he has Justin Jefferson.
yeah, and I'm a big Justin Jefferson fan. I'm trying to think. I mean, he might be the best wide receiver this year. I don't exactly know the stats right now. Devontae Adams missed some time. DK Metcalf hasn't been as good. Deebo Samuel has been really good, and Jamar Chase. But sure, I'll agree with that. Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, at tight end,
Actually, no. I actually have to go with Cooper Cup. I think Jefferson's right behind Cooper Cup.
at tight end, he has Kittle from the 49ers.
I would have to say probably Mark Andrews from the Ravens. He's been really good. And of course, Travis Kelce having a big off year. Darren Waller up there as well. But I think Darren Waller. Or not Darren Waller, sorry. Mark Andrews.
Yeah, for his O-line, he has Nelson from the Colts. He only has one person there.
Yeah, that's what I told him to do. That I clearly agree with.
Yeah, then moving on to defense. At D-line, he has Aaron Donald.
Yep, that's pretty clear.
Linebacker, he has Warner from the 49ers.
Yeah, I think Fred Warner is definitely underrated, but I think Micah Parsons is the best linebacker right now.
Yeah, and then at D-back, he has Jay Alexander from Green Bay.
Yeah, this one's tough. Tyrann Mathieu has started to do real good lately, but I don't know. You know what? Yeah, I'll agree with this one.
Yeah, so that's it for this episode. It ran kind of long. Well,
No, it didn't run too long.
It didn't.
No. But that's going to wrap it up, guys. See you next time on Daddy Dimes Radio.